Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a look at the volume of a pyramid. So we've got different types of pyramid that we're going to have a look at. We've got the square base pyramid, rectangular base pyramid and a triangular base pyramid. So I did try and draw these myself and it was carnage, so I've just printed off these diagrams here to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on. This is definitely going to be a calculator video, so if you want to go do these with me, or if you're just testing yourself, make sure you have a calculator at the ready. And this is the formula. Okay, so the volume of a pyramid is a third times the area of the base. So if it's a square, obviously the area of the square. If it's a rectangle, the area of a rectangle. And if it's a triangle, the area of the triangle. And the perpendicular height. So this is the height directly from the base going straight to the top, not slanted. Okay, so if you look at these diagrams here, this is the perpendicular height, straight from the bottom, straight up, not the slanted sides here. Same thing for this one, straight from the bottom going up, not the slanted, and the same thing here, straight from the bottom going up. So perpendicular height is when you go straight from the bottom, straight to the top. And you notice here, it's got like a little 90 degrees here, because perpendicular means 90 degrees. So from the base, going straight up to the top is what perpendicular means. Okay, so we'll have a look at a few examples, some just nice and easy, just sticking the numbers straight into the formula, and some going backwards to work out the area of the base or the lengths and the heights and different bits and pieces. So let's get cracking and see what we can come up with. So the first one, we just need to work out the volume of this. So using the formula, I'm going to have 1/3 times by the area of the base. Well, it's a square base there, I know that, because it's 11 and 11. So 11 times 11 is 121, so that's the area of the base. So 1/3 times by 121 times by the perpendicular height, which in this case is 33. Okay, and like I said, definitely going to be a calculator job. So I use the fraction button. So 1/3 times 121 times 33, and we are left with 1,331. Don't forget units, centimeters cubed, because it's volume. If you haven't got a fraction button, don't worry, just do 1 divided by 3 and press equals. That'll get you the fraction. It'll probably be as a decimal if you haven't got one of these calculators, 0.3 recurring, and then you can just put the rest of it in as normal and you get the same answer. Okay, so don't worry if you haven't got the fraction button, you can do it that way. This one here, so this time it's a rectangular based pyramid. Let's have a look then. So let's do the area of the base. Well, it's a rectangle, so it's just going to be 10 times 6, which is 60, and I'll include the units centimeters squared. I probably should do the same thing there, centimeters squared, and then I'm going to put it into the formula. So 1/3 times by the area of the base, which is 60, times by the perpendicular height, which in this case is 12.5. Let's put that into calculator and see what it comes up with. So 1/3 times by 60 times by 12.5 is 250. And again, centimeters cubed, because we're dealing with volume. And last one here, this is a triangular based pyramid. Now you notice this is a right angle triangle, because I've got the little right angle there, which means I can work out the area. If it's not a right angle triangle, in other words you can't work out the area, what the question will probably do is just tell you what the area of the base is. Okay, but I've deliberately picked a right angle triangle here to make it slightly trickier. So the area of the base will be the base of the triangle, which is 3, times by the height. And then what everyone forgets to do when working out the area of a triangle is to half it. So make sure you don't forget to do that. So 3 times 6.5, base times height, and half it, we're left with 9.75. Okay, so that's the area of the base. Now we can plug it into our formula. So 1/3 times by the area of the base times by the perpendicular height, which in this case is 11. And I'll bring back my calculator. So 1/3 times by 9.75 times by 11. I'm going to press the SD button to get it as a decimal, which is 35.75 centimeters cubed. Okay, so there's just the basics of using the formula. Now let's have a look at how we find the missing lengths, which is definitely a bit more juicy. Okay, so here we go. Like I say again, I've got my square, my rectangle and my triangle, and we're going to have a look at working out some missing lengths. So in this one here, I'm told what the volume is. I'm told I need to work out h, which is the height there. So basically I'm working backwards. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the area of the base, because that's part of the formula. So let's just quickly do that. So 9 times 9, as it's a square, is 81 centimeters squared. So that's the first thing I can do. Okay, work out the area of the base. I'm then going to put what I know into the formula. So obviously I've got a third. I times that by the area of the base, which we've just worked out is 81. I times it by the height. I don't know what the height is, so I'm just going to call it h. And then we're told the volume is 394.2. Okay, so all I've done is just substituted in the values into the formula that I know. I know the base because I've just worked out. I know the volume. That's always a third, so that's not a problem. And I'm just left the h as the h for the height. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to flowchart it. Okay, you can rearrange this and simplify it and rearrange it, but to be honest, just stick it in a flowchart and the answer comes out, which is quite cool. So I start off with the h, I times by 81, I times by a third. They can be either way because they're both timeses, so it doesn't matter which way around you do them, as long as you do both of them. Okay, so I've got my h, I times it by that, and I get that. And then all you do, remember with the old flowchart, is we go backwards and we do the opposite. So instead of timesing by a third, I'm going to divide by a third. Instead of timesing by 81, I'm going to divide by 81. And then I'm going to get back to the height. So again, get the old calculator out. So 394.2. I'm going to divide that by 1/3. Okay, I'm then going to press equals to see what I get. I'm then going to divide by 81. See what I get, and I'm left with 14.6. And obviously that will just be centimeters because it's just a length. Okie dokie, that was the first one. This one here, it just says work out the base area. So it's not after any lengths, it just wants to know what the area of the base is. This one's even easier. Okay, fill in what we know. Well, we know we always multiply by a third. We always times that by the base area. We don't know what that is. That's what we're trying to work out. I'm just going to call that B for base. And then we times it by the perpendicular height, which we know is 6.5 from the diagram. And that equals 37.05 because we're told what the volume is there. And same thing we just did here. Just flowchart it. The area of the base, so B, and again, these two don't matter the order because they're both multiplication, so it doesn't matter. Let's go with a third. So I'm timesing by a third first, then I'm going to times by 6.5, and I'm going to end up with 37.05. I'm then going to go backwards and do the opposite and divide by 6.5. Then I'm going to divide by a third. And I should get back to my base. So calculator at the ready, 37.05 divided by 6.5. Oh, I need to press equals just to make sure I don't get into any trouble. Divided by 1/3, 17.1. And again, oh no, centimeters squared, isn't it? Because it's the base area. Sorry, yep, so the units will be centimeters squared. Okay, and finally we have our little right-angled triangle pyramid again. And this time it wants you to work out the base triangle's width. So of the triangle at the base, it wants you to work out this base bit here, which is x. Okay, so I'm not going to jump straight to that. We're going to use our formula, and we're going to work out the area of the base first, which will give us the area of that triangle, and then we'll go backwards and work out the x. Okay, so the first step is exactly the same we did here. We're going to work out the area of the triangle in the base. So what do? We substitute into our formula. So we've got a third, we times it by the area of the base, which we don't know. We times it by the height, which is 23, and we get the volume of 103.5. Excellent. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to flowchart it. I'm going to just come up quite close there because I'm going to run out of space. So we've got my B, and it doesn't matter which way around you do it, so I'll do it the other way around here just to prove it. So times by 23 times by a third gets us 103.5. 103.5 divided by a third divided by 23 gets us the area of the base, or the area of that right angled triangle. So what is that? Because that's going to be crucial. So 103.5 divided by a third, and then divided by 23, and that's 13.5. Excellent. Okay, so the area of that triangle there is 13.5. So now we need the formula for the area of a triangle. Well, that's the base times the height and half it. That equals the area. So let's substitute in what we know. We don't know the base. That's the x. So x times by the height of that triangle, which is 6. We divide it by 2. And then that equals the area, which we just worked out is 13.5. Okay. So all I'm going to do now is flowchart this, and I'm slightly run out of space. So what I'll do is I'll just flip this over and carry on. So we said that was x times by 6 divided by 2, and that equaled 13.5. Okay, so just flowchart it. X, we times by 6. This time the order does count. We do need to times by 6 before we divide by 2. So this time the order does matter because they're different operations. So then we go back and do the opposite. So we times in by 2. We are dividing by 6, and we get x. So let's have a look. 13.5 times by 2 divided by 6, and we're left with 4.5 centimeters. Okay, so let's just go back and double check. So we think x is 4.5. Always check your answers, always makes sense. So work out the area of the base of the triangle here. So 4.5 times by 6 divided by 2. So we have 13.5. Yep, that's good. So that works out for the area of the base. So then we would do 1/3 times by the 13.5 times by the 23. Do we get back to that? Yes, we do. It all works 100%. Always good to check your answers. Okay, guys, so that's volume of a pyramid with the square, the rectangle, and the triangle. So hopefully that helps, especially with some of these missing lengths down here. Thanks for watching, guys.